bloody hell, I must say I'm absolutely gobsmacked by the traffic on this highway Onramp in Florida. It's chock-a-block with cars and I'm stuck here in a right snarl up. It's like rush hour on the M25, but with more heat and humidity. I'm starting to feel like a right numpty for not avoiding this area during peak travel times. I mean, I knew the traffic here could be a bit dodgy, but I never imagined it would be this bad. It's enough to make me want to pack up and head back to dear old Blighty. I'm not even sure how long I've been sitting here, but it feels like an absolute age. I've got a stiff upper lip and all that, but I'm starting to get a bit peckish and could use a cuppa. Maybe I should have brought some biscuits to tide me over. Anyway, I suppose I'll just have to grit my teeth and bear it. I'm sure I'll eventually make it onto the motorway and be able to get on with my day. But in the meantime, I'll just have to sit here in this flaming traffic and hope I don't lose my marbles. Well, I say, this is a right proper shambles. The traffic chaos on this highway Onramp from US 301 to Interstate 75 in Florida is absolutely appalling. It's an absolute bloody nightmare. And I'm about ready to lose my rag. The lack of driver civility is really quite staggering. If I'm being honest, people are driving like utter hooligans, cutting each other off and tailgating like there's no tomorrow. It's enough to make a chap want to head back to the motherland. I mean, where's the stiff upper lip? Where's the sense of propriety and decorum on the roads? It's like these people have never heard of the highway code. And don't even get me started on the state of the roads themselves. They're riddled with potholes and cracks, and it feels like I'm driving over a series of speed bumps. Honestly, I'm about ready to throw in the towel and head back to my hotel. I can't take this madness any longer. Blimey, I'm just about ready to blubber like a baby after witnessing the utter lack of manners and civility on display here on this highway Onramp in Florida. These American drivers have got me feeling right gutted, I tell you. I mean, what's the big idea with not letting other drivers merge, It's like they've got no sense of fair play or decency. It's enough to make a chap want to pack up and head back to dear old Blighty. And don't even get me started on the language being bandied about. The profanity and cursing is enough to make a bishop blush. It's like these folks have never heard of the Queen's English. Honestly, it's all too much for me. I'm feeling a bit flustered and in need of a spot of tea to calm my nerves. I don't think I can take much more of this. I really don't. It's enough to make a man want to weep. Well, I say, this is a right proper wake-up call. As I sit here watching these American drivers refusing to let others merge on this highway Onramp, I can't help but reflect on the poor choices I've made in my life. It's like a metaphor, really. Each driver fighting to get ahead, unwilling to show any kindness or compassion to their fellow man. It's a dog-eat-dog world out here, and I fear I've been too caught up in it myself. I suppose I've always been a bit of a rogue, a bit of a scallywag, taking risks and living for the moment, consequences be damned. But now, as I see the chaos and carnage on display before me, I'm starting to wonder if it's all been worth it. Perhaps it's time to turn over a new leaf, to start living life with a bit more consideration and empathy for those around me. After all, as the saying goes, what goes around comes around. And who knows, maybe if we all start showing a bit more kindness on the roads, the world will be a better place for it. But for now, I'll just sit here and ponder my poor life choices, feeling a bit glum and in need of a stiff drink. It's enough to make a man wonder where he's gone wrong. I could really do with a stiff drink right about now. Sitting here in this massive backup on the highway Onramp has got me feeling right parched. It's like I'm stuck in bloody molasses, with no end in sight. The traffic's moving slower than a herd of turtles, and I'm starting to feel like I'm going to lose my marbles if I don't get out of here soon. I mean, what's the hold-up? Is there a royal procession or something up ahead? Or is it just the usual shambles that passes for traffic management in this country? Either way, I could really use a pint or two to take the edge off, something to soothe the nerves and help me forget this absolute nightmare of a commute. But I suppose I'll just have to sit tight and wait it out. Maybe listen to some Radio 4 or something to pass the time. After all, It's not like I've got much of a choice in the matter. Just another day in this bloody traffic jam. I'm absolutely gobsmacked at how inconsiderate these Florida drivers are. Sitting here in this massive backup on the highway on-ramp has got me feeling right agitated. It's like they're all bloody racing to the finish line, with no regard for anyone else on the road. Cutting each other off, swerving around like they're driving dodgems at the fairground. It's downright shameful, I tell you. And don't even get me started on the lack of common courtesy. No one's willing to let anyone merge. It's like they're all out for themselves. I thought the keep calm and carry on attitude was a British thing, but apparently it's lost on these Yanks. I mean, what happened to basic manners? The rules of the road are there for a reason. And it's not just to make life difficult for everyone, it's to keep us all safe and moving in a reasonable fashion. But I guess that's too much to ask for these days. I'm starting to wonder if it's not just the driving that's the problem, but the entire culture here in Florida. Maybe I've been too quick to judge, but from what I've seen so far, it seems like a bit of a free-for-all. But for now, I'll just sit here in this bumper-to-bumper traffic, stewing in my own juices and hoping to God I make it to my destination in one piece. Well, isn't this just smashing? Sitting here in a colossal queue on the highway on-ramp, with no one giving an inch to let anyone merge into the bloomin' traffic. It's a right laugh, I tell you. I mean, who needs common courtesy and basic driving etiquette anyway? Let's just all barrel down the road like a bunch of hooligans, cutting each other off and throwing caution to the wind. It's not like we're in a hurry or anything. And who cares if we cause a few accidents or hold up traffic for miles? We're all in this together, after all. Except for that bloke trying to merge into our lane. Of course, he can just wait his turn while we all zip past him like we're in the Grand Prix. Honestly, it's no wonder Florida drivers have such a reputation for being inconsiderate. They're like a pack of wild animals, all jostling for position and showing no respect for their fellow drivers. But hey, who am I to judge? I'm just a daft Brit, used to driving on the wrong side of the road and being polite to a fault. I guess I'll just have to sit here and twiddle my thumbs while these Yanks do their thing. Cheers, mate. Well, looks like I'm in for a right proper spot of bother, innit? Sitting here in this massive queue on the highway on-ramp, not moving an inch, and feeling like I might just burst into tears any moment now. But what's a chap to do, eh? Can't exactly go flying down the emergency lane like some kind of madman, now can I? And honking my horn like a crazed goose isn't going to make the traffic magically disappear. So I suppose I'll just have to make the best of it. Maybe sing a jolly tune or two to pass the time. Or imagine all the fantastic things I'll do once I finally make it onto the highway. Like drink a pint of ale and eat a plate of fish and chips. Or take a nice long stroll in the countryside. Who knows? Maybe this delay is a blessing in disguise. A chance to slow down and appreciate the little things in life. Like the way the sun shines through the trees, or the sound of birds chirping in the distance. Or maybe I'm just talking rubbish to distract myself from the fact that I'm stuck in a massive traffic jam. Ah well, such is life, I suppose. Better to laugh than cry. Right? These Florida drivers are like the bloody Blitz all over again. No one's letting anyone merge onto the highway on-ramp, and it's a right proper mess. It's like they're all driving around with their eyes closed or something. I mean, I know the war's been over for decades, but you'd think these drivers would have learned some civility by now. But no. They're all just looking out for themselves. Like a bunch of selfish sods. Maybe they need a good bombing to remind them how to behave properly on the road. Or maybe I'm just being a bit daft and should focus on something else. Like the fact that I'm stuck in a massive traffic jam with no end in sight. Either way, it's enough to make a chap want to retreat back to his tea and crumpets and forget this whole driving business altogether. Well, I must say, I owe you lot a bit of an apology. After being stuck in that massive backup on the highway on-ramp for what felt like hours, I was getting a bit testy with all the inconsiderate driving and lack of merging. But now that we're finally through, I see that it was just a bit of a fluke and not typical of the fine driving standards I've come to expect from Floridians. I suppose I've been a bit harsh in my assessment, and for that, I'm truly sorry. Perhaps it was just a case of too many cars trying to merge at once, or maybe I was just being a bit too sensitive. Either way, I hope you'll forgive me for my earlier outburst and know that I still hold the good people of Florida in the highest regard. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I need a bit of a lie down after all that excitement. Hip, hip, hooray, we've survived the dreaded Interstate 75. Despite the chaos and mayhem of that massive backup on the highway on-ramp, we've emerged victorious and made it to the other side. It wasn't easy, mind you. We had to navigate a veritable minefield of inconsiderate drivers and aggressive merging maneuvers. But with a bit of patience and a stiff upper lip, we persevered and emerged triumphant. So let's raise a glass, or a cuppa, if you prefer, to ourselves, for we have conquered the beast that is I-75. Here's to the good life, and may we never have to face such a trial again. Cheers.